English major coach. I am Professor Paul Tiranio, a faculty member of the University of San Agustin. I finished my bachelor's degree in secondary education, major in English, at West Visayas State University College of Education, where I was the editor-in-chief of the college publication. I have a master's degree in English as a second language from the University of the Philippines, that's UP. And I'm currently finishing my Juris Doctor degree at the College of Law of the University of San Agustin. So today, we are going to rationalize set 6, composed of 50 questions. So let's start. Question number 1. Which of the following does not describe a principle of phonics instruction? A. Systematic. B. Intensive. C. Sequential. D. Balanced. Again, which of the following does not describe a principle of phonics instruction? A. Systematic. B. Intensive. C. Sequential. D. Balanced. The correct answer is letter C. Sequential. Well, phonics is considered to be systematic, that's option A, and intensive, option B. And it's an important part of a balanced literacy program, that's option D. So all of these mentioned choices, that's A, systematic, B, intensive, and D, balanced, describe, well, a principle of phonics instruction, except letter B, which is, letter C rather, which is sequential. Again, phonics is considered to be systematic and intensive and is an important part of a balanced literacy program. There is not one specific sequence that must be followed. Therefore, it's not sequential. So the correct answer is letter C, sequential. Which of the following does not describe a principle of phonics instruction? Sequential. What is phonics? Phonics is a strong understanding of relationship between letters. Well, these are symbols and sounds. So relationship between letters and sounds. The principle behind phonics, children become skilled readers by learning to recognize words. The phonic instruction shows significant gains in their reading comprehension and spelling abilities. The purpose, the goal of phonics instruction is to help readers quickly determine the sounds in unfamiliar written words. When readers encounter new words in text, they use the elements of phonics to decode and understand them. Experts today agree that language, as taught in phonics, is the critical building blocks for reading success. Okay, let's go to question number 2. Oral communication is also known as A. Impersonal communication, B. Verbal communication, C. Face-to-face communication, D. Nonverbal communication. Again, oral communication is also known as A. Impersonal communication, B. Verbal communication, C. Face-to-face communication, D. Nonverbal communication. The correct answer is letter B. Verbal communication. So oral communication is also known as verbal communication. Well, usually, oral and verbal communication mean the same, but some language experts say that they are quite different. Oral communication, they say, is speech, while verbal communication is communication with words, and that includes both written and spoken communication. So oral versus verbal. Oral originates from the Latin oralis, meaning mouth. Verbal originates from the Latin verbum, which means word. Oral means spoken rather than written. Verbal means relating to or in the form of words. So both spoken and written. And oral can be used as an adjective in a noun, while verbal can be used as an adjective, noun, and verb. Question number 3. The word theater, some people pronounce it theater, is derived from the Greek theatron, from the Greek word theatron, which means a gathering around, B, assembly, C, forum, D, seeing place. Again, the word theater or theater is derived from the Greek word theatron, which means a gathering around, B, assembly, C, forum, D, seeing place. The correct answer is letter D, seeing place. So the word theater is derived from the Greek word theatron, which means seeing place. Well, theater or theater is a building or space in which a performance may be given before an audience. The word is from the Greek theatron, which means a place for seeing. So this is how a theatron looks like, no? The ruins of a theatron in Greece. I think this is in Athens. The theatron, plural theatra, is the word referring to the seating area section of an ancient Greek, Roman, and Byzantine theater. The theatron was a place where spectators were gathered to watch some kind of show or play. Next, number 4. According to which theorist is symbolic thought a precondition for language acquisition? A, Noam Chomsky. B, Jean Piaget. C, Skinner. That's B.F. Skinner. D, Lev Vygotsky. Again, according to which theorist is symbolic thought a precondition for language acquisition? A, Chomsky. B, Piaget. C, Skinner. D, Vygotsky. The correct answer is Piaget. Jean Piaget. Symbolic thought is the ability to use symbols to represent things. And it was Jean Piaget who explained this in his stages of cognitive development. So symbolic representation, symbolic thought. The early pre-operational period, ages 2 and 3, is marked by a dramatic increase in children's use of the symbolic function. This is the ability to make one thing, a word or an object, stand for something other than itself. Language is perhaps the most obvious form of symbolism that young children display. However, Piaget in 1981 argues that language does not facilitate cognitive development but merely reflects what the child already knows and contributes little to new knowledge. He believed cognitive development promotes language development and not vice versa. So it was Jean Piaget who propounded the concept of symbolic representation or symbolic thought. Now, let's go to question number 5. When working with someone who has trouble speaking, it is helpful to A, guess what he or she is trying to say. B, speak for him or her. C, give him or her more time to speak. And D, teach him or her another form of communication. Again, when working with someone who has trouble speaking, it is helpful to A, guess what he or she is trying to say. B, speak for him or her. C, give him or her more time to speak. And D, teach him or her another form of communication. The correct answer is letter C, give him or her more time to speak. It means you don't rush the person, because eventually he or she will be able to say what he or she wants to say. This is for those who have speech disorders. Rushing the person is being insensitive and disrespectful. Through this way, also, you allow him or her to practice speaking and eventually correct his or her flaws. So you give the person more time to speak. Question number 6. Teachers who believe that language is a system of structures consisting of sounds, words, and sentences will predictably follow a teaching syllabus that revolves around A. Communicative tasks, B. The building blocks of language, C. Functions of language, D. Elements and functions of language. Again, teachers who believe that language is a system of structures consisting of sounds, words, and sentences will predictably follow a teaching syllabus that revolves around A. Communicative tasks, B. The building blocks of language, C. Functions of language, D. Elements and functions of language. The correct answer is letter B. The building blocks of language. Sounds, no? Or phonemes, words, vocabulary, morphemes, words or lexicon, and sentences, the arrangement of words, syntax. They are the building blocks of language. And they make up what language is. They are not communicative tasks. It's option A. They are not functions of language. That's option C. And they are not language elements. Option D. So the correct answer is building blocks of language. Again, question number 7. The play most fully exists, A. in the text, B. in its performance, C. when critics review it, D. when it is published. Again, the play most fully exists, A. in the text, B. in its performance, C. when critics review it, D. when it is published. The correct answer is letter B. in its performance. A performance is an act of staging or presenting a play. It is the execution of an action. Basically, we watch a play because of the performance, not because of the costumes, not because of the characters, not because of the text, right? The play most fully exists in its performance. A play is a work of drama, usually consisting mostly of dialogue between characters and intended for theatrical performance rather than just reading. Okay, not just the text. So, theatrical performance. Question number 8. When Luis receives a message from Cristel, it is his responsibility to provide Cristel which of the following? A. Non-verbal clues, B. opinions, C. sounds and letters, D. feedback. Again, when Luis receives a message from Cristel, it is his responsibility to provide Cristel which of the following? A. Non-verbal clues, B. opinions, C. sounds and letters, D. feedback. The correct answer is feedback. If the receiver does not give any feedback, communication will stop. For a communication process to be interactive, the feedback of the receiver is important. Yes, receivers are not just passive absorbers of messages. They receive the message and respond to them. This response of a receiver to a sender's message is called feedback. Question number 9. When setting up the physical environment of your language classroom, begin by assessing A. your students, B. your space and materials, C. your budget, D. your time. Again, when setting up the physical environment of your language classroom, begin by assessing A. your students, B. your space and materials, C. your budget, D. your time. The correct answer is your space and materials. Space and materials are the first two considerations. We are talking here of immediate considerations, immediate needs. So space and materials. Question number 10. Symbols, A, stand for something other than themselves. B, represent ideas but not people, things, or events. C, mean exactly the same thing to various people. D, are not arbitrary. All symbols have logical reasons for their existence. The correct answer is symbols stand for something other than themselves. A symbol is a mark, a sign, or a word that indicates, signifies, or is understood as representing an idea, object, or relationship. The correct answer here is option B. Option A rather, symbols stand for something other than themselves. Option B is wrong. Why? Option B, represent ideas but not people, things, or events. Option B is wrong because symbols may also represent people, things, or events. Option C, mean exactly the same thing to various people, is also wrong because symbols have different meanings across cultures. Symbols, rather, mean different things to different people. For example, the cross. For Christians, it means the resurrection of Christ. No? It means salvation of mankind. For Hindus, it means peace. And for ancient Chinese, it means perfection. So symbols mean different things to different people. So option C is wrong. So the correct answer is letter A, symbols stand for something other than themselves. Okay, number 11, the structure of a story, the sequence in which the author arranges events in a story. The structure of a 5-act play often includes the rising action, the climax, the falling action, and the resolution. A, pathetic fallacy. B, verisimilitude. C, allusion. D, plot. Okay, the correct answer is plot. What is plot? Plot is a literary term used to describe the events that make up a story. So it is one of the elements of a story. Well, other elements include conflict, theme, character, and setting. So the plot has also elements. We have exposition, the background information at the beginning of the story, the setting and characters are established. Then we have the conflict. The protagonist meets the antagonist and the struggle becomes apparent. Next is rising action. A series of events and complications build on characterization and conflict, and foreshadowing, suspense, irony, and literary devices get involved. Then we have the climax. The solution to the conflict is decided. This is the turning point and often most emotional part of the story. The event may be either an action or mental decision that the protagonist makes. And then we have the falling action, the events resulting from the climax. And the last is the resolution. Minor conflicts are wrapped up and there is an indication of closure or continuance of life for the characters. So plot, again, is a literary element used to describe the events that make up a story. Now let's go to what we have. The word verisimilitude is mentioned here as one of the choices. Verisimilitude, the appearance or illusion of reality in a piece of writing. Veri means true and simil means like or similar. It's what makes nonfiction and realistic fiction seem realistic. Many factors contribute to building verisimilitude, including imagery, anecdotes, and local color. So that is verisimilitude. Question number 12. When Mrs. Nicholas takes detailed notes on student behaviors in her English class, such as strategy use, she is utilizing A. Running records, B. Skills checklists, C. Informal reading inventories or IRI, and D. Anecdotal records. Again, when Mrs. Nicholas takes detailed notes on student behaviors in her English class, such as strategy use, she is utilizing A. Running records, B. Skills checklists, C. Informal reading inventories, D. Anecdotal records. The correct answer is letter D. Anecdotal records. So another example of anecdotal record use would be noting the types of books students choose. Anecdotal record is a record of some significant item of conduct, a record of an episode in the life of students, a word picture of the student in action, a word snapshot at the moment of the incident, any narration of events in which may be significant about his personality. So what are the characteristics of anecdotal records? Anecdotal records must possess certain characteristics as given below. While they should contain a factual description or factual descriptions of what happened, when it happened, and under what circumstances the behavior occurred. The interpretations and recommended actions should be noted separately from the description, and each anecdotal record should contain a record of a single incident. Number 13. Jack, who works in public relations for a political figure, has received a hilarious but potentially offensive joke from one of his friends via email. To best ensure his continued employment, Jack should A. Post the joke to his personal Facebook page immediately, B. Forward the joke to everyone in his address book, C. Repeat the joke to the politician who employs him, or D. Discourage his friend from sending such messages to his work email address. Okay, the correct answer is letter D. Discourage his friend from sending such messages to his work email address. Your professional email should be different from your usual email address. You only use this for your professional communication. Some companies, like my company, like my university, provide a separate email account to their employees. Question number 14. The process of language learning, characterized by repeated practice of sentence patterns until they become habitual and automatic, is A. Simplification, B. Hypothesis testing, C. Habit formation, D. Overgeneralization. Again, the process of language learning, characterized by repeated practice of sentence patterns until they become habitual and automatic, is A. Simplification, B. Hypothesis testing, C. Habit formation, D. Overgeneralization. The correct answer is letter C. Habit formation. This is the behaviorist theory of SLA, or second language acquisition. Language learning is a process of habit formation. The more often something is repeated, the stronger the habit and the greater the learning. So here are some thoughts about language habits from different experts. In instructional methods combining behaviorist learning principles with a structuralist approach to language, such as the audiolingual method, habit formation was a main concern. Grammar learning was thought to take place through a process of verbal habit formation. Habits were established through stimulus-response conditioning, which led to the overlearning of the grammatical patterns of a language. This according to D. Carrico J. and Larson Freeman, 2002. Rivers in 2001 has this to say: habit formation was defined by contemporary foreign language educators as the production of linguistic responses to stimuli by imitation and repetition in pattern drill. Bloomfield had it: language learning is overlearning. Anything less is of no use. Question number 15. The content of the communication is called A, message, B, noise, C, medium, D, word. Again, the content of the communication is called A, message, B, noise, C, medium, D, word. The correct answer is message. The message is the content of communication and may contain verbal, nonverbal, or symbolic language. Perception and personal factors of the sender and receiver may sometimes distort this element, and the intended outcome of communication may not be achieved. For example, the same message may be communicated or perceived differently by two individuals. Number 16. Which of the following is not one of the 5 areas of instruction identified by the National Reading Panel as consistently relating to classroom success? A, phonemic awareness, B, test taking, C, fluency, D, vocabulary. The correct answer is test taking. Well, the other two are phonemics and text comprehension. These are the 5 areas of instruction identified by the National Reading Panel as consistently relating to classroom success: phonemics, phonemic awareness, fluency, and vocabulary. Number 17. Hamlet is a tragedy by William Shakespeare, believed to have been written between 1599 and 1601. The play is set in A, England, B, France, C, Denmark, D, Germany. The correct answer is Denmark. Hamlet is a prince of Denmark. Well, Hamlet is Shakespeare's longest play with 30,557 words. Again, if the question says, what is the longest play of William Shakespeare? It's Hamlet, composed of 30,557 words. This is the setting of the story. Elsinore is the English spelling of Helsingør, a town on the eastern coast of Denmark. In Shakespeare's lifetime, Helsingør was an important military location, the stronghold from which the King of Denmark controlled a narrow stretch of sea. Number 18. Which of the following or which of these is a communication skill? A, chewing gum, B, looking bored, C, shouting often, D, talking clearly. Again, which of these is a communication skill? A, chewing gum, B, looking bored, C, shouting often, D, talking clearly. The correct answer is talking clearly. When I say communication skill, it is understood to be a good communication skill. So the correct answer is talking clearly. Well, looking bored is not a good communication skill. No? It is a sign of disrespect. Shouting often as well. Chewing gum while communicating is a sign of tension or nervousness. Number 19, the Prince of Filipino Printers, A, Tomas Pinpin, B, Graciano Lopez Haina, C, Juan de Vera, D, Marcelo H. del Pilar. Again, the Prince of Filipino Printers, A, Tomas Pinpin, B, Graciano Lopez Haina, C, Juan de Vera, D, Marcelo H. del Pilar. The correct answer is Tomas Pinpin. Also known as the patriarch of Filipino printing, or the father of Filipino printing. He was the first Filipino to print and publish a book. So here is Tomas Pinpin. Tomas Pinpin was a foremost Filipino printer. He was trained by the Chinese through the Chinese art of woodblock printing. Pinpin, assisted by Domingo Luag, printed the Vocabulario de la Lengua Tagala, the first Tagalog dictionary written by Father Pedro de San Buenaventura, a Franciscan friar in the town of Pila, Laguna in 1613. For the next 3 decades, he printed at least 14 books. That is Tomas Pinpin, the father of the Filipino printing, or the prince of Filipino printers. Number 20. Which of the following English words has a mythological origin? A. Serial. B. Behavior. C. Colony. D. Editorial. Again, which of the following English words has a mythological origin? A. Serial. B. Behavior. C. Colony. D. Editorial. The correct answer is serial. Serial has roots in Roman mythology. From the word Ceres, serial. The Roman goddess Ceres, the equivalent of the Greek Demeter, was a calm goddess who didn't take part in the quarrels of the other gods. Her particular responsibility was the food-giving plants, and for that reason the food grains came to carry her name. Cereals of the ancient Romans included wheat, barley, spelt, oats, and millet, but not corn or maize, which was a cereal of the Americas. So the word cereal originated from the Roman goddess Ceres. Okay, number 21. Your friend asks to borrow your car. Recently, you have had car problems and have been bombarded by other friends for requests to use your car. You are not feeling well and just want to go home. You respond angrily to your friend's request, although on other occasions, this particular friend has borrowed your car with no problems. Your reaction this time best illustrates which of these concepts. A. Communication will not solve all problems. B. No single person or event causes a reaction. C. Communication does not always require understanding. D. More communication is not always better. Okay, the correct answer is letter B. No single person or event causes a reaction. One's reaction does not depend on a single person, right? Or on a single event. One's reactions depend on a lot of factors. One's mood, the current situation, the person you are talking to, one is talking to. So it's complicated and it does not depend on a single stimulus. Next, number 22. In the weighing of the heart ceremony, as described in the Book of the Dead, the heart of the deceased is weighed in the scale against the A. Ankh, the Egyptian cross considered as a symbol of life. B. Scarab or beetle, the emblem of death in ancient Egyptian society. C. The eye of Horus, which is considered as the morning star in Egyptian mythology. And the feather of the goddess Ma'at, who personifies order, truth, and righteousness. Again, in the weighing of the heart ceremony, as described in the Book of the Dead, the heart of the deceased is weighed in the scale against the A. Ankh, the Egyptian cross considered as the symbol of life. B. Scarab or beetle, the emblem of death in ancient Egyptian society. C. Eye of Horus, which is considered as the morning star in Egyptian mythology. D. Feather of the goddess Ma'at, who personifies order, truth, and righteousness. The correct answer is Letter D, feather of the goddess Ma'at, who personifies order, truth, and righteousness. After you died, the ancient Egyptians believed your heart had to be weighed. It had to be lighter than a feather. To find out if your heart qualified for the trip to the afterlife, your spirit had to enter the hall of Ma'at. This is how it happens. The ancient Egyptians believed that the heart recorded all of the good and bad deeds of a person's life, and it was needed for judgment in the afterlife. When writing narrative comments on report cards, teachers should do all but which of the following? A. Begin with a positive comment. B. Record observable behavior. C. Avoid suggesting things for the parent to try at home. And D. Address academic and social areas. Again, when writing narrative comments on report cards, teachers should do all but which of the following? A. Begin with a positive comment. B. Record observable behavior. C. Avoid suggesting things for the parent to try at home. D. Address academic and social areas. So, the correct answer is letter C. Avoid suggesting things for the parent to try at home. Do include helpful strategies for parents to try. Next, number 24. If a concern develops over the amount of time you spend on the internet, an effective method to determine how much time is too much time is to A. Contact a therapist and ask him or her. B. Post to Twitter and ask your friends. C. Track your time online accurately to assess if it is too much. D. Skip important social and recreational activities to use the internet. Again, if a concern develops over the amount of time you spend on the internet, an effective method to determine how much time is too much time is to A. Contact a therapist and ask him or her. B. Post to Twitter and ask your friends. C. Track your time online accurately to assess if it is too much. D. Skip important social and recreational activities to use the internet. The correct answer is letter C. Track your time online accurately to assess if it's too much. It says here, the question says effective method to determine how much time is too much time. So the most effective is to track your time online accurately. It means you have to record, you have to have data, and this will help you decide, assess if it's too much. This way is more scientific. Okay, question number 25. What does infra mean? A, above, B, below, C, the same reference, D, that is. Correct answer is below. Infra means below. Infra and supra mean below and above, respectively. They are used to indicate that information will be more fully explained or cited elsewhere. If the information has already appeared in an earlier note, supra is used. If the information will appear in a later note, infra is used. That is where a more complete citation or explanation is perhaps more appropriate. In general, you can replace both of these abbreviations with C below for infra and C above for supra without any change in meaning. So infra means below and supra means above. Question number 26. No matter who you are speaking to, you must always A. Speak the truth, B. Use good English. C. Speak with respect. D. Use correct terminologies. Again, no matter who you are speaking to, you must always A. Speak the truth. B. Use good English. C. Speak with respect. D. Use correct terminologies. The correct answer is speak with respect. Always speak with respect. This is non-negotiable. Respect through communication is key to success in any environment. Respect is the glue that holds relationships together. So always speak with respect, no matter who you are talking to. 27. When students maintain book logs, they A. Document the number of pages read each day. B. Note date, author, and title. C. Summarize what they have read every session. And D. Rate the quality of the books. Again, when students maintain book logs, they A. Document the number of pages read each day. B. Note date, author, and title. C. Summarize what they have read every session. And D. Rate the quality of the books. The correct answer is letter B. Note date, author, and title. This information helps teacher to determine interests, quality of text, and how quickly a student gets through a particular book. That's book logs. 28. In many Asian cultures, being very talkative, speaking directly even when you disagree with a person, and not allowing much silence in a conversation would likely be regarded as A. very positive sign of a cultured person. B. A sign of a very intelligent, knowledgeable person. C. Someone who is insincere, lacking knowledge, and impolite. And D. A person who wants to get ahead in his or her society. Again, in many Asian cultures, being very talkative, speaking directly even when you disagree with a person, and not allowing much silence in a conversation would likely be regarded as A. very positive sign of a cultured person. B. A sign of a very intelligent person. Very intelligent, knowledgeable person. C. Someone who is insincere, lacking knowledge, and impolite. And D. A person who wants to get ahead in his or her society. The correct answer is letter C. Someone who is insincere, lacking knowledge, and impolite. That is why the Chinese people always criticize Americans for being talkative and boastful. Asians have a listening culture, while Europeans and Americans have a talking culture. 29. Which of the following lines does not contain imagery? A. President Rodrigo Duterte will address both houses of Congress today. B. Any blunt object that can be used to cause injury is not allowed inside the hall. C. The petite campus leader has certainly been blessed with her share of rare beauty. And D. The screech of incoming missiles was audible long before they hit, but the laser strikes were silent. Okay, the correct answer is which does not contain imagery. Letter A. President Rodrigo Duterte will address both houses of Congress today. This sentence does not contain any imagery. When you say imagery, it refers to descriptive language collectively that appeal to the senses. Let's analyze. Option B, any blunt object that can be used to cause injury is not allowed inside the hall. The imagery here is blunt. It appeals to the sense of touch, no? Kinesthetic kinesthetic appeal, kinesthetic imagery. Option C, the petite campus leader has certainly been blessed with her share of rare beauty. Petite is another example of imagery, visual Imagery appeals to the sense of sight. And screech of incoming missiles. Screech appeals to the sense of hearing. It has an auditory appeal. So the correct answer is letter A. President Rodrigo Duterte will address both houses of Congress today. And number 30, the term emergent literacy was coined by A. Maria Montessori, B. Jean Piaget, C. Mary Clay, D. Lev Vygotsky. Again, the term emergent literacy was coined by A. Maria Montessori, B. Jean Piaget, C. Marie Clay, D. Lev Vygotsky. The correct answer is letter C. Marie Clay. Emergent literacy. Marie Clay, 1996, was the first one who used the term emergent literacy. Emergent literacy is based on an assumption that a child acquires some knowledge about language, reading and writing, even before attending any formal education. She asserted that literacy development begins early in life and is ongoing. It means that before going to school, the child has already some knowledge about literacy. We call this emergent literacy. Number 31, someone is telling you about an accident he or she has had. How would you react? A. Look pleased. B. Look behind you. C. Look concerned. D. Look uncaring. Again, someone is telling you about an accident he or she has had. How would you react? A. Look pleased. B. Look behind you. C. Look concerned. D. Look uncaring. The correct answer is letter C. Look concerned. This is emphatic listening. It means I understand your problem and how you feel about it. I am interested in what you are saying and I am not judging you. That is emphatic listening. Emphatic listening is about really understanding the person who's talking to you. That means it goes beyond active listening and deep into the zone of non-judging and empathy. Non-judgment while you listen to others means you can truly hear them with an open mind. Emphatic listening. You feel, you empathize, emphatic listening. Question number 32. The knowledge of phonetics is useful in English teachers because it A. Emphasizes the characteristics of the English language. B. Highlights the importance of native-like pronunciation. C. Identifies the sounds of the second language that are different from those of the first. And D. Provides precise descriptions of the articulation of the English sounds. Again, the knowledge of phonetics is useful in English teachers because it A. Emphasizes the characteristics of the English language. B. Highlights the importance of native-like pronunciation. C. Identifies the sounds of the second language that are different from those of the first. And D. Provides precise descriptions of the articulation of the English sounds. The correct answer is letter D. Provides precise descriptions of the articulation of the English sounds. Well, phonetics is the study of speech sounds and their physiological production and acoustic qualities. In other words, phonetics is the study of the physical properties of sounds. Number 33, communication is dynamic. Which of these statements does not support this principle? A. Communication stays the same. B. Communication is not fixed. C. Communication always changes. D. Communication adapts to new situations. Communication is dynamic. Letter B is correct. Communication is not fixed. Communication always changes. Yeah, that is being dynamic. And communication adapts to new situations. So which of these statements does not support this principle? Letter A, communication stays the same. When something is dynamic, it means that it is continuously moving or changing. And language is just like that. Language is always changing. Every language is dynamic. In other words, it keeps changing either in response to the needs of its speakers or just as a natural effect of many people using it every day. Number 34, the emotional content of a word, A, connotation, B, figurative language, C, denotation, D, epic. Correct answer is connotation, the emotional content of a word. Well, words have two kinds of meaning, the connotative meaning and the denotative meaning. So we have connotations and denotations. When you say denotation, this is what the dictionary says. And when you say connotation, this is the other meaning, the emotional meaning of a word. So connotations are the feelings or emotions associated with a word. It goes beyond the actual meaning of the word and paints a picture or invokes a feeling. So we have here an example. So she's my baby. When you look the word baby up in a dictionary, it says infant. But the other meaning, the connotation of the word baby, it means, oh, she's my baby, she's my girlfriend, right? So that's denotation and connotation. Question number 35, which of the following is not a recommended artifact of a student's reading and writing? A, comprehension tests, B, literature response journal, C, character map, D, illustrations. Again, which of the following is not a recommended artifact of a student's reading and writing? A, comprehension tests, B, literature response journal, C, character map, D, illustrations. Correct answer is letter A, comprehension tests. The artifact here has nothing to do with fossils or museum relics. Tests are not literacy artifacts, rather. When you say artifact, an artifact from a literacy standpoint is as easy to come by as ABC blocks or musical leapfrog toys, and essential for reading and language development, especially in the early years. Literacy artifacts are objects or possessions, such as newspaper print, magazine, building blocks, nursery rhymes, or other items a child might be surrounded with to encourage reading. Literacy artifacts. Number 36. It is an Old English heroic poem of anonymous authorship. This work of Anglo-Saxon literature dates back between the 8th and the 11th century. At 3,183 lines, it is notable for its length. It is sometimes called the National Epic of England, despite the inaccuracy of that label. The work was originally written in Anglo-Saxon and pertains to events in Scandinavia. A, Dior's Lament. B, With Sith. C, Beowulf. D, Piers Plowman. The correct answer is Beowulf, the national epic of England. But some writers, some scholars say this is inaccurate. But generally, Beowulf is considered as the national epic of England. It is considered as the highest achievement of Old English literature. The main protagonist, Beowulf, a hero of the Iliad, comes to the aid of Hrothgar, the king of the Danes, whose great hall Heorot is plagued by the monster Grendel. Beowulf kills Grendel with his bare hands, and Grendel's mother with the sword of a giant that he found in her lair. That's Beowulf. Number 37, when you actively pay attention, you A, hear, B, listen, C, concur, D, disagree. Again, when you actively pay attention, you A, hear, B, listen, C, concur, D, disagree. The correct answer is listen. When you actively pay attention, you listen. This is active listening. Active listening is a dynamic process that includes paying attention to what another person is saying, thinking about what the person has just said, and responding in a way that lets the person know that you understood what he or she was trying to say. Active listening. Number 38, regardless of culture, children begin to learn language around the same time all over the world. At about what age is this? A, between 6 and 8 months. B, between 8 and 28 months. C, between 2 and 4 years. D, between 5 and 7 years. Again, regardless of culture, children begin to learn language around the same time all over the world. At about what age is this? A, between 6 and 8 months. B, between 8 and 28 months. C, between 2 and 4 years. D, between 5 and 7 years. The correct answer is letter B, between 8 and 28 months. At 8 months, babies can recognize groups of sounds and can distinguish word boundaries. Although they recognize these sound groups as words, they are still learning what these words mean. Babies at this age are more likely to comprehend the meaning of words related to their everyday experiences, particularly food and body parts. So, children begin to learn language between 8 and 28 months. 39. Which is an effective way to show that you are interested in what the other person is saying? A, say a lot. B, nod your head sometimes. C, use follow-up questions. D, let him or her talk endlessly. The correct answer is letter C, use follow-up questions. An effective way to show that you are interested in what the other person is saying. Follow-up questions. Follow-up questions keep the conversation moving forward and allow for clarification and elaboration of details. So if you're not interested in the conversation and you want to end the conversation, then don't ask follow-up questions. That's simple. Next, number 40. What, according to the IRA and NAEYC, is the single most important activity for building understandings and skills essential for reading success? A, having preschoolers view Sesame Street. B, encouraging children of all ages to read. C, reading aloud to children. D, teaching the alphabet to 3-year-olds. Okay, the correct answer is letter C, reading aloud to children. Granted, there are many powerful activities, but reading aloud is paramount or very important. Reading aloud. The read aloud is an activity in which the teacher reads a book aloud to the whole group. The purpose of the read aloud is to model appropriate reading behaviors and reading strategies. It allows the teacher to show students the joys of reading and to teach them how to think and discuss the text. Teachers should have a set purpose for each read aloud session and should read with the proper fluency, rhythm, and intonation. Successful read alouds rely on active engagement in the reading by both adults and children. Number 41, a pumpkin is not news unless it is as big as a small car. Which news element is present here? A. Development. B. Oddity. C. Sex. D. Conflict. Again, a pumpkin is not news unless it is as big as a small car. Which news element is at present here? Is present here? A. Development. B. Oddity. C. Sex. D. Conflict. The correct answer is oddity. This is a question on journalism. News elements are qualities that make certain events newsworthy. One of the elements is oddity. Oddity, whenever strange things happen, it will make the news. It can also occur with events that only happen once every great while. If something is out of the ordinary, it may be newsworthy just because of that fact. The strange or unusual is fascinating to many readers. For example, we have the world's tallest man, the longest fingernails, the cat that lives for 12 days under rubble. So this news element is called oddity. Number 42. In classical mythology, three aspects of the great goddess are reinterpreted by the patriarchal system to include virgin, wife, and lover. Which of the following goddesses is associated with the wife? A. Hera. B. Hecate. Some people pronounce it Hecate. C. Athena. D. Aphrodite. Again, in classical mythology, three aspects of the great goddess are reinterpreted by the patriarchal system to include wife, virgin, and lover. Which of the following goddesses is associated with the wife? A. Hera. B. Hecate. C. Athena. D. Aphrodite. The correct answer is Hera, the wife. Hera is the queen of the Greek gods. She is Zeus's wife and sister. The Romans call her Juno. Hera, the queen of the gods, the goddess of the family, very beautiful but jealous. She schemed against his many wives and children. His is Zeus, because Zeus has many wives and children. Number 43, investigative journalism is finding, reporting, and presenting news which other people A. try to hide, B. forget to attend to, C. laugh about, D. cannot understand. Again, investigative journalism is finding, reporting, and presenting news which other people A. try to hide, B. forget to attend to, C. laugh about, D. cannot understand. The correct answer is try to hide. Investigative journalism is finding, reporting, and presenting news which other people try to hide. Well, it was investigative journalism that brought about the downfall of Joseph Ejercito Estrada as President of the Republic of the Philippines. Remember, Joseph Estrada did not finish his term. And remember also the Boracay Mansion. It was believed to be owned by President Estrada out of his ill-gotten wealth. It was called Boracay Mansion because of the artificial white sand by the pool reminiscent of the powdery sand of Boracay. Investigative journalism is a form of journalism in which reporters deeply investigate a single topic of interest, often involving crime, political corruption, or corporate wrongdoing. In the Philippines, we have PCIJ, or the Philippine Center for Investigative Journalism. It is a non-profit media organization specializing in investigative journalism. The PCIJ. 44. In its narrow sense, curriculum is viewed merely as a teacher-student relationship, B, a listing of subjects to be taught in school, C, an outline of the general setup of the school, D, a sum of all the experiences the school offers to the learners. Again, in its narrow sense, curriculum is viewed merely as a teacher-student relationship, B, a listing of subjects to be taught in school, C, an outline of the general setup of the school, D, a sum of all the experiences the school offers to the learners. The correct answer is letter B, a listing of subjects to be taught in school. Remember, the question says in its narrow sense. So this means we have to look at the traditional view of curriculum, because we have the traditional view of curriculum and we have the progressive view of curriculum. So this is the traditional view of curriculum, which merely says that curriculum is the body of subjects or subject matter prepared by the teacher for the learners. Number 45, the language of mass media is part of the big world of A, literary language, B, colloquial language, C, technical language, D, national language. Again, the language of mass media is part of the big world of A, literary language, B, colloquial language, C, technical language, D, national language. Correct answer is technical language. Technical language refers to written or oral communication that has specialized content. The language of journalism and mass media is a fascinating field to analyze because it offers a challenging outlook on its subtleties and power in each journalistic genre. This type of language helps understand how journalists create their stories or reports, shape points of view, deliver expected news, and how media language is different from other languages we encounter. Investigating, interviewing, and fact-checking activities are basic components of journalism, transmitted to media consumers in order to inform, persuade, but also to reinforce public beliefs using manipulating techniques. Number 46, according to Strevens, 1988, ESP is restricted to the A, language skills to be learned, B, language concepts the teacher knows, C, linguistic ability of the students, D, language materials available in the classroom. Again, according to Strevens, 1988, ESP is restricted to the A, language skills to be learned, B, language concepts the teacher knows, C, linguistic ability of the students, D, language materials available in the classroom. The correct answer is letter A, language skills to be learned. ESP stands for English for specific purposes. The S here in ESP is specific, so restricted to the language skills to be learned. Peter Strevens was a linguistics scholar and applied linguist who died while attending a language conference in Tokyo, Japan in 1989. English for specific purposes. Some people say it is English for special purposes, but it is specific purposes. ESP is a learner-centered approach to teaching English as an additional language, which focuses on developing communicative competence in a specific discipline such as academics, accounting, business, IT, teaching, and engineering. 47, which is not one of the three R's. A, writing. B, reasoning. C, reading. D, arithmetic. The correct answer is reasoning. So the three R's are reading, writing, and arithmetic. These are the three basic skills taught in schools. The 3Rs program is a multifaceted program aiming to improve literacy. 48, mass communication today shares three characteristics, which is not one of these. A message is scrutinized before it is sent. B, a message is sent out using some form of mass media. C, the message is delivered rapidly. D, the message reaches large groups of different kinds of people. Again, mass communication today shares three characteristics, which is not one of these. A message is scrutinized before it is sent. B, a message is sent out using some form of mass media. C, the message is delivered rapidly. D, the message reaches large groups of different kinds of people. Correct answer is letter A, a message is scrutinized before it is sent. Letter B, a message is sent out using some form of mass media, for example, television, the internet, radio, newspaper. So yes. Letter C, the message is delivered rapidly. That's mass communication today. And letter D, the message reaches large groups of different kinds of people. Yes. That's why in just a few seconds, certain news events become viral. So the correct answer here is letter A, a message is scrutinized, not one of the characteristics shared by mass communication today. A message is scrutinized before it is sent. This is doubtful. When you say scrutinize, it means it is carefully examined. That's why we have fake news. 49, development journalism is blank-oriented, meaning it approaches problems in the light of the people to be informed. A, task-oriented. B, process-oriented. C, result-oriented. D, audience-oriented. Again, development journalism is blank-oriented, meaning it approaches problems in the light of the people to be informed. A, task-oriented. B, process-oriented. C, result-oriented. D, audience-oriented. The correct answer is audience-oriented. Let's talk about development journalism. I taught this subject like 5-6 years ago. The concept of development journalism is based on two basic principles. One, development is a central social objective, and the mass media play a decisive role in this process. What is development journalism, and what is the history of development journalism? The term development journalism was first coined in the 1960s at the Press Foundation of Asia. Filipino journalists Alan Shackley and Juan Mercado were concerned that news organizations were covering socio-economic developments in a superficial way, with journalists reporting government press releases and quotes but leaving little space for analysis or evaluation of development projects. So a feature on development journalism may cover the following issues: economic development, agriculture and food security, health, sanitation and medicine, employment, education and literacy, informational technologies development, housing conditions, environmental sustainability, urban and rural development, gender equality, and many others. So that is the concept of development journalism. And number 50, Thursday folders go home on Thursday instead of Friday. 2A, give parents opportunities to reward or punish their children on the weekend. B. Avoid the loss of folders over the weekend. C. Give teachers opportunities to reward or punish students for completing or not completing all work by Friday. And D. Give students a chance to catch up before the weekend. Again, Thursday folders go home on Thursday instead of Friday. 2A. Give parents opportunities to reward or punish their children on the weekend. B. Avoid the loss of folders over the weekend. C. Give teachers opportunities to reward or punish students for completing or not completing all work by Friday. And D. Give students a chance to catch up before the weekend. The correct answer is letter B. Avoid the loss of folders over the weekend. So, the Thursday Folder Project. This is a school-wide effort to communicate with parents. So I have here an example of an announcement regarding Thursday folders by a certain school. A Thursday folder will be sent home with each child every Thursday. This folder will be used for sending home notes, lunch charges, behavior calendars, and completed work. Please sign and return the behavior calendar and the empty folder the next school day. These papers will keep you apprised of your child's progress. So this is the Thursday Folder Project. So thank you for listening and see you next week for set 7. Again, composed of 50 items. Good day, everyone.